Hey everybody, I'm David with Bolivar Live, and once again it's our Aran and Franklin show. I'm here with Dave, with Aran and Franklin. Chandra's, I guess she's on vacation or taking care of some other business, and so Chandra and I talked about the fortified building, and it's really intrigued me. Dave's going to give us some more information today about actually the roof part, because Dave, if I'm not mistaken, if someone's going in and putting a new roof on because it's an older house maybe and the heat's got to the shingles, you don't have to have the whole house fortified. You can actually have just the roof area fortified. Am I correct?
That is correct. Yes, you can actually just do the roof and get a fortified roofing designation. It's a lot more documentation on the roof. There's some additional things as far as how you do the underlayment. They want the roof deck re-nailed with a specific nail and a specific pattern in order to keep the roof sheathing down. And then we go into the roof underlayment. They give you several options, but some of them are to put tape on all of the seams of the plywood sheathing to keep water penetration out. Another one is using an ice and water shield, which is a fully adhered membrane that goes over the roof, which is a really good option. It's also a little pricey. And then, they just want a lot of documentation. They want enhanced nailing patterns on all the shingles. And even if you...
This is all done through photos and stuff, right?
It's all done through photos. We really have to meet with the roofer and go over with them how the roof is going to be installed, because there's some very specific things, especially on the perimeter edges, that they want. They want a fully adhered starter strip. They're really trying to keep that first course of shingle, which is the ones that are most prone to being blown off. They're really trying to keep those intact. In addition to that, they have an enhanced drip edge nailing pattern they want you to use, and some other things, but they really are focusing in on that fully adhered starter strip around the edges and perimeters. So
when you're talking price increase, and money saved, have you done any studies or have any numbers on, yes, it's going to cost you an extra 10%, but it's going to save you 15% every year on certain things?
Right. So it's generally going to cost you about $75 a square more, just depending on the larger the number of squares. That kind of reduces down. You get some additional covers, like our inspections, where if you got a small roof, we have to do the same number and same type of inspections if you get a large roof. So that number is kind of a little bit of a variable, but typically when you look at renailing the roof decking, you're adding a lot, but you're adding when that roof, all shingles they're rated to a maximum of 130 miles an hour. Well, if you get winds over that, or if the guy did 15 shingles in the row perfect, and then he did 5 that weren't perfect, then those blow off. You get water intrusion. 65% of all damage from hurricanes comes through losing the roof system, and then you get water intrusion into the house, and then you have all kinds of problems. So
have they done any studies? And I know y'all have done a lot down in Florida, actually along the whole Gulf Coast. But when it comes to roof types, is there any studies done on regular shingles versus a metal roof versus a tile roof, on which one survive, is a hardier roof and holds together better?
Typically, the metal roofs, if done correctly, can withstand a greater wind force. Tile roofs or can also do that if they use a foam system along with a screw. A lot of it comes down to who's installing it. I mean, we're out there when we're inspecting them. We're there for a moment in time. We're just checking it out. But if you have a good quality, reputable contractor who's checking his work, making sure his guys are properly fastening the systems and doing all that, then that's really where the rubber meets the road. And getting a good roofing contractor is very important. So
Great, great. Is there what other things, like if you're doing new siding on a house, um, say you do a new siding and you're not doing the roof, can you get the uh, protection when you replace the siding also,
What
and
we
sort of do it in stages?
Right. It's usually just for the roof. I think with the way that the insurance companies are leaning, a lot of we've gotten had some of our associates with State Farm and USAA who have told us they're only going to be writing policies in tier one and tier two counties if they have a fortified gold, and they'll consider them with a fortified roof.
Okay.
But if you are getting the siding replaced, that additional documentation at that time can help you for getting a complete envelope and just documenting it. And there's really not a lot of additional siding uh, details that you would have to do to become fortified. It would just have to be documented properly.
So, from what I'm hearing from you, and then what Chandra and I've talked, more or less, if you can keep your roof intact so it doesn't leak, that's where 99% of the damage starts, is when you lose a shingle and then you lose a row and then you lose one side of the house. Maybe you're on the windward side. Water gets in it if it's not sealed right, and then it goes throughout the house, because you and I both know, if a storm comes, you can't get back in here immediately to start pulling sheetrock out. And if you do, you definitely need to take pictures and video before you do anything to your house. But if you can keep the roof intact, more or less, your chances of surviving a storm without anything major is real great if you have the windows and the siding installed right.
Correct. And that is roofing. 65% of the damage, maybe more than that, is comes in from the roof. You start losing those shingles, you get water coming in, then you got sheetrock problems, and you've got
Right.
flooring problems, and all your pictures and photographs and everything you've got in your home starts to get ruined. So if you can keep the roof on, you have a real good chance of keeping the house together, especially on Bolivar, where there's a lot of new construction. It's all been done to the code. We've already been enforcing continuous load path out there, and really,
Right.
transferring all the loads from the roof all the way to the ground. So those houses will take a lot. Now, of course, you get something happens, and you get a big something hits a window and you lose the window. It goes from a partially enclosed or a fully enclosed structure to a partially enclosed, and that's when you start seeing a lot of additional damages. Once that building envelope is damaged, then you start seeing a lot of issues.
Well, and during Ike, we had a lot of old houses down here, and I felt, one, we had tornadoes down here, but two, you get one house that's older house built on the old pilings, the creosote where they were rotten, and that house went down, and then it floated into another house, and it went down or leaned over, tore it up, and it was just a domino effect. I think a lot of it was down here, and it was not funny, but you could go to certain areas, and that's where everything was piled up. If there was a catch there, it all piled up there. Either it washed away with another wave, or it was there whenever we returned.
That's right. We actually after Harvey were in Rockport, and we looked at some houses that actually were newer homes but had failed, and one of the reasons that one of them in particular had failed was because it got several boats stuck up underneath it,
And
and
it lifted it up.
those boats just started clogging everything, and then the water loads on those boats, they couldn't get past the pilings. So in a V zone, you have breakaway walls. They're designed to fail. They're designed to, when the water starts coming in and crashing on those, that they can just go around the pilings and not
Right.
have any issues there. But when you get a lot of debris in there, that's when it really starts pushing on those piles, and it can actually, you know, push an entire house over if you get enough load going on those. So
Great, great. Well, if people want more information on the fortified building and maybe the roof, maybe they're going to get a roof put on this year, where can they go to get more information on that?
I think just go to Aran and Franklin's website, www.aranfranklin.com, and click on a link. You can call the office anytime. We'd be happy to talk to you. We have a Stephanie, who is our fortified sales team lead. She is a good resource and a good person to talk to about that. So,
And just real quick, if someone builds a whole house fortified, they can save quite a bit of money on their insurance, can't they?
They absolutely can. Even doing the roof, you can save. You're going to save money if you go through a State Farm or Farmers. Now, if you use an impact rated shingle too, you can save through TWIA. But the entire house, we had recently a customer who was getting quotes of $16,000 plus, and when they looked at applying the fortified designation through State Farm, it cut it more than half. So
Really?
yes, and that's the lifetime of the home, as long as State Farm's writing policies in the area. Yeah.
Right. And, you know, one thing is the cost of the home is one, you know, most people are going to finance it. And so it may make your payment a little higher. But when you can drop your insurance 25, say 35 to 50%, man, that's a lot of money on a, you know, you're saving $8,000 a year on that one particular house, or even if it was $6,000 a year over, 10 years, you're looking at a lot, $60,000 that you can save if my math is right this early. But you know, it adds up.
It appears to be pretty significant, and I'm not an insurance guy, but just some of the things we've seen. If I was building one out there, there was no doubt. And the majority of it, when you're building one from scratch, we're already doing the majority of those items. Are captured under our traditional windstorm. There's a little bit more engineering that has to be done, a lot more documentation, but most of it comes down to the roof system. So, but yes, there are significant savings, and you don't have to go to TWIA, to the insurer of last resort. It opens you up. You may have other insurance people who are competing for your business. You have a fortified property, they know it's built to their standards. It's actually the insurance agencies are the ones that develop the fortified program. So
this isn't just Texas. This is anywhere. The fortified goes all along the coast, whether you're in Florida or you're in Texas.
Absolutely. And actually in Louisiana and Mississippi and Alabama, the fortified program is basically like their WPIA TWIA program. It's essentially what they say that you have to build to. So they're already doing that. There's talk of bringing it to Texas. It hasn't happened yet, but it certainly looks like it's trending in that direction, especially as TWIA looks to depopulate and get out of writing all of this risk on the coast. Right. You know, they want other insurance agents to come in and share this risk. And if that makes your house more marketable, I mean, you know, think about it. If you go to sell your house in a few years after building it, people are they're looking at saving $6,000 or $8,000 a year, on their insurance, and they can get a nice State Farm policy or a USA policy or whatever, then they're that's probably attractive to a buyer. So
real quick, what if you're doing a fortified home in a Cobra zone? Does it save you any money?
Cobra zones are just, they're tough. Certain companies just do not write Cobra zones at all. Most of them are done through Lloyd's of London, and they're pretty selective, but Cobra zones are kind of there. It's a real crapshoot on getting insurance on though. But I know that the fortified really, for some of these companies, it's not going to matter because they're not going to write it anyway. So
okay. Well, for more information on the Fortified Home Program and for the Strong Home Protection Program, where they come out once a year and inspect your home and give you an engineered report on what your home's conditions it's in, which will help in the long run. And it'll also let you know what you need to fix maybe before hurricane season starts or when the rental season starts down here. So, Dave, thanks for joining us today. We'll be back next week with another show with Aran and Franklin on the coastal area. Until next time, I'm David with Bolivar Live. Y'all have a great day, great week. Come see us. God bless, and bye-bye.